Man, my left ear loves this song. Hey. I couldn't find music for a game that hasn't come out yet, so I've decided instead to opt for Ocarina of Time's Hyrule Field. Hi, everyone. Something that I've been thinking about a lot lately is Zelda. It seems like I can't go about 10 minutes without thinking about Zelda. Okay, let me start again. I like the games Legend of Zelda's, and this one looks good. And I guess I wanted to talk a little bit more in detail about this because I have enjoyed— I can't get music right, okay. I've enjoyed the trailers, I've enjoyed the gameplay footage, and KY and I spoke about this on 2 on the Vine, which will have a lot of discussion of everything E3, not just Zelda. But this is just gonna be me talking about the game a little bit, things I liked, things maybe I didn't like, which isn't very much, and some just thoughts about it, and you know, general fuckery. Nothing professional, just insanity in its pure unfiltered form. And here's the other thing too, if you want to watch this, watch the 2 on the Vine as well, because there will be different perspectives, and KY has a lot of thoughts that are interesting as well. So basically, we're gonna watch a little bit of footage and talk about it, and I will be a jabroni. So we're gonna do that. Let's start with the title, Breath of the Wild. I wonder if Breath was a direct, like, kind of jape on the term breath of fresh air. Because this really is a breath of fresh air. This was definitely my favorite game of E3, and I'm also very excited for this game. The direction is exactly what I wanted from Zelda, and even better in some respects. So it's really a perfect title. I didn't love it for the first 10 minutes, and then it really, really grew on me. The wild being, you know, the actual, like, wilderness, which, again, looks great. I love the logo, too. It's white. It's not the usual red. It's simple. Really simple, scaled back. The Master Sword is rusty, which I've heard some people say, here we go, lore already, we got lore. The Master Sword being rusty, some people have said, it signifies corruption when it comes to magical items. Now, I don't know what world that's from, but wherever it's from, I thought it was interesting, and I maybe could see that. So, yeah. Also, I think it's pretty clear this game takes place after Skyward Sword, so this isn't another prequel, you know, first of the Zelda everything. This is definitely gonna fit someplace in the timeline, and while the timeline is a bit arbitrary, it's still something that I want to discuss a little bit. At the end of this, I want to take some questions and have a dialogue with you guys. This is live for anyone watching on Full Sauce. Hello. Hello from the past. And I would like to share my thoughts about the trailer. So we'll start with that, and then we'll talk about more of the gameplay footage. I'm gonna probably stop the trailer here and there.
Open your eyes.
So, voice acting. That's the first thing. I've heard rumors, I don't know if it's confirmed yet, but I've heard rumors that the voice acting is only every character except Link, only. Which is perfectly fine by me. Link does not need to speak. Alright, this was my favorite moment of the entire trailer, and I could just stop it here, and it would still be my most hyped E3 trailer. Yeah, so this is ducks. I don't know if you guys knew that, but this is ducks. And I like ducks. Okay. They sound good, they look good. These also look good, wildlife looks good. I'm excited for the various kinds of wildlife. I hope, like Red Dead Redemption, I have to hunt and kill them. No, I mean, I want to make them my friends. This is a really good trailer for showing the expanse
Open your eyes.
of the world. So this was the stuff we saw in the first trailer, and I really enjoy the speculation that we've seen so far about these things. Are they technology? Are they magic? It looks like they're from an era long forgotten, maybe from a long time ago. And I don't know. It's just kind of cool how they're just sitting here unactivated. Some of them are active, some of them aren't. We'll find out more about that later, I would imagine.
Wake up, Link.
And Link literally wakes up. You just start the game, you wake up in like a cloning chamber of some sort, and then you're off in this world. Which, this right here looks great. I can't really even believe this is a Wii U game. Seriously, I mean, when Skyward Sword came out on the Wii, it looked good, and it was like, okay, but this is still old hardware. When I look at this game, I'm thinking that this is somewhat further ahead of the Wii U. I just think the art style is perfect. Or at least the execution of what they set out to do was perfect. Whether or not it's a perfect art style, that's up to you. I think it's good for what Zelda has been lately, and that's why I like it so much. Look at that animation. Tree physics. Shirtless Link diving. Monster Hunter food. Arrows with drop-off. Bees, of course. I won't say anything more about bees today. This looks cool. And just interesting ways to kill your enemies. Okay, hang on. Now, this is by far the most baffling part of this trailer, which is, this is a really nice trailer. The music is really good, and it's about to get better. But what the hell is this editing? Watch this. Just pay attention to this edit. Whoa. That's not me cutting that. That is how the trailer aired. One more time. I don't really fully understand that. A nitpick of a trailer, that's, you know, that's fine. The game looks great, I don't really care. This song, whatever this song is, so good. Link's armor. It's hard not to get Skyrim vibes from some of this footage. And I'm okay with that. And these mysterious squiddies in the Matrix. Now, this is something that I would like to talk about for a minute. Master Sword art. It might be the first Link. It's not the first, but it's close. So, here is... Wow. That was a very close fit for just automatically getting scaled. That was very interesting. But yeah, this right here is the art from A Link to the Past. I think this came as a poster in A Link to the Past. And this was on my wall for years. And this always... just, I loved this art. I always used to think about it and think about what was in this forest and what was beyond. And also, I love the atmosphere and the way the rays of light pierce the forest. That is just, for me, classic Zelda. And this shot mirrors it really nicely. And it's going to be cool to be able to actually see what this is all about. So... I wonder what the Master Sword's function is in this game, but it looks fucked up. And I don't know if there's going to be a connection to Link to the Past. I am going to grab my Hyrule Historia in a bit. Or actually, instead of that, I'll just find the timeline and we'll talk a little bit about the timeline when the time comes. But for now... So, there's the Master Sword. It's rusty. Really nice grass. So that's the trailer. And before we talk about the gameplay footage, I want to discuss just the possibility of where this thing could be in the timeline. Because the timeline is a little bit convoluted, to say the least. I don't even think Nintendo knew what the timeline was before Hyrule Historia. So, I mean, there were some expectations of what it could have been, but there was no definite confirmation. So, yeah, let's talk about it for a sec. I'm gonna try my best to, like, zoom in at the appropriate spots. So, at the top, you'll see Skyward Sword starts the timeline, and then Minish Cap 4 Swords. There's more story you could read if you'd like. And then Ocarina of Time is where it's split into 3. Now, I first thought that there was a Link to the Past connection, just from the trailer, because of the way the Master Sword was framed. And I thought it would be really cool to have a game in the original timeline, the Era of Decline, which the fact that it's called the Era of Decline makes me think that's why the Master Sword is rusty. So maybe, you know, it's just misuse, or disuse rather, but I thought maybe it had something to do with that timeline. Now that's A Link to the Past, Oracle of Seasons and Ages, and Link's Awakening, which are basically, Link to the Past is the most important in terms of Hyrule history. And then you go down a little bit further, Hyrule, the Triforce is used, and then bad things happen. Zelda the First, apparently, I didn't realize she was the first. Oh, no, Princess Zelda 1. I don't know what that means. Does that mean she's the first of her name? Defender of the Realm? Or does that mean that she's just... I don't know. It's hard to say. So, I'll tell you what. I think that instead of that, and I don't also think that it's in the Majora's Mask timeline where Twilight Princess is and 4 Swords. I think it's in Wind Waker because we saw a Korok, and a Korok are those little leaf fellas that make annoying noises. Okay, maybe they're cute, but they jangle and they walk a lot. So there's a lot of fucking jangling, and I don't forgive jangling. Except this one looked pretty cool, and I think I could get you a clip of that. Zelda Korok Breath. So that's Google. That is Google at its finest right there. So here it is. You can see, here's the little Korok fella. And it looks just like Wind Waker's Koroks, and it's even called Korok. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see a Korok again. We haven't seen those in a while. And this is where, for me, I'm led to believe that this is a Wind Waker timeline. The enemies look like they're out of Wind Waker as well, to some extent. And I kind of feel like this is a maturation of the Wind Waker art style. And therefore, it almost makes sense to me that it would be a Wind Waker prequel or sequel. So I think I would go out of my way and say that a prequel would be fucking cool, because it would be great to see why Hyrule was flooded, which, if you look at the timeline, really all you see here is, after Ocarina of Time, the hero is successful and Ganondorf is sealed. Alright? So Ganondorf is sealed, then you have Ganondorf is revived, we know nothing about that, Hyrule is sealed and flooded. So, I think that empty space is interesting and rife with possibilities for a story, and I would love to see why Hyrule was flooded. But what I think is more likely, and I mean, we see the Master Sword maybe with that rust on it or whatever that is, maybe this is something that the water has receded, the land has been, you know, it's been a few hundred years or 100 years or whatever, and the land has returned to the wild, and as a result of that, we get this flooded Hyrule that is now just Hyrule, and there's ruins everywhere in these plains, this plateau, and I feel like maybe this is after Wind Waker, and it would make perfect sense. Now, Phantom Hourglass took place in the same, you know, it's called the was this the era of the Great Voyage. So it takes place in the same general world, right? The same sea. I think I haven't played it in years. And Spirit Tracks, they found a new continent. So that's, to me, that's totally out. I don't think we're going to be hearing about Railroad Land, which, again, if you've watched my streams, you know my disdain for Spirit Tracks. I don't really care for it. Not terrible, but not amazing by any means. So I'm thinking this could be a return to Hyrule. I mean, we even see some Hyrule names on the map. And I think that this may be, you know, that kind of like aftermath of the flood. Now, I feel like Link waking up in this chamber, which I won't show you because I think I don't have that footage, but, and I can find it, but he wakes up in this like chamber, goes through a hallway, and then you start immediately. There's no hand-holdy 2-hour-long village scene, which I love Twilight Princess, but goddamn, it takes so long to get going in that game. So it's nice to see that this game just starts you out right away. But he wakes up, and open your eyes, Link. So I don't think this is the hero of the winds, but part of me wonders if this isn't a Link we've not seen before. I wonder if one of the Links, either the Ocarina Link, or probably not, or, you know, the Hero of Time or the Hero of Winds, I wonder if it's one of them and they woke up, they were preserved, you know, in stasis for hundreds of years. What if this is what Link, Toon Link, if you want to call him Zelda, we'll call him Zelda. What if this is what he looks like when he grows up? What if that's just his, you know, his adult form? Like he grew up, he had to be sealed when Hyrule was flooded. Or afterwards, or for some dumb reason, maybe we just don't know. Or, of course, it could be an entirely different Link. So it's interesting to see that Nintendo is now paying attention to the continuity, because this hasn't happened in a while. In fact, the last major like console release of a Zelda game was Skyward Sword, and that launched the same time as this Hyrule Historia. So, and that being the first of the entire series is pretty much just, it says, well, you know what, we're going to ignore the timeline for now and we'll just start the whole thing. So this is the first major Zelda release on a console where a timeline has been definitively established. So enough nerding out, let's talk about a little bit of gameplay. This is a Nintendo Treehouse fellow, whose name I forgot, and this is the footage from the second day, which I'm going to play because it's kind of a good summation of what's happening. I would play the sounds, but you can hear them talking. I almost played Polygon's footage where it's just 56 minutes of just pure gameplay with, you know, you can hear the sound effects and everything. I didn't want to do that because I have no idea what kind of legality issues that would run into. And thus, Treehouse. This is the footage they've made available, and here it is. So, yeah, there's definitely a level of kind of sandbox exploration that we have here in this game. It's a giant world. You eat not necessarily for survival, but for food, for hearts rather. And it seems like this is one of those games that's going to be full of distractions. Okay, shirtless Link time. Why? Thank you, Chico. Chico being the presenter, who everyone loved. You'll notice the arrows kind of drop, which I don't think has happened in Zelda before, but it reminds me a lot of Metal Gear Solid 5. Not necessarily that it had bullet drop off, but more that like there's a level of physics that you have to accommodate for when you play the game. And you can approach these outposts in various ways. In fact, the Metal Gear Solid connection is pretty goddamn strong, considering there's actually a fucking pair of binoculars that you use the Wiimote, the Wii gamepad with, the Wii U gamepad, and you fucking zoom in and tag enemies like you would in Metal Gear Solid 5. So, yeah, So, I mean, I see a lot of close range bow shooting, which is one of those things that, okay, now let's talk about durability. The reason why I think they use the bow as much as they do is because when you use melee weapons, it loses durability. And no haunch of meat in the planet of Hyrule, whatever the name of this planet is, it's not Hyrule, not planet Hyrule, that's just the name of the land. And there's plenty of lands. We only ever really see Hyrule, except for when Link enters an alternate dimension or he sails off to Teletubby Land. But aside from that, we're on planet and we're here in Hyrule, and the weapons will lose durability when you use them. So you'll notice you can carry like six, I think it's like 6 to 8 weapons, you know, melee weapons. And you get to, with these melee weapons, attack up close. They have different physics, different effects. I love that so much. I love that you can use the club differently than the sword or the axe. They have different uses and utility. The problem is they will wear out eventually, which isn't so much a problem for me, because the idea, that's cool, like the arrow and fire. The idea of that arrow did not set that wood on fire. Now it will. Okay, there's a little bit of a... Looks like there's they need to shore up the hit detection on the wood. But yeah, the weapon changing, I think, is a great idea, because it allows you to... You have to be smart, and you have to constantly look for more weapons. And here's just a few of them. There's spears, there's clubs, there's an axe, there's swords. I was telling KY on Two on the Vine that I would love for a weapon like a sword to say, oh, there's a great sword. That's an interesting one. I haven't seen that one. I haven't even seen this footage, to be honest. So this is going to be cool. The fucking, you know, swords losing durability is great. I love that the weapons, it's a very simple system, but I also think that there should at some point, and maybe not just the Master Sword, but there should be a sword or two that does not lose durability. Like an old standard standby. Something that you can use like whenever. And that would, I think, be cool, because I've always had a connection with the weapons, you know, in Zelda. And losing them because you use them too much is a little shit. And also, I mean, again, we're talking about a Zelda game. There's things called Octoroks, but in terms of realism, I have to do this for a sec. Using an axe or a club like 13 times will not break it. So, anyway, when it comes to the inventory, this is all so far a demo. We don't know exactly how much of this is going to turn into a final product. We don't know how much inventory room you start with, you end with, whether or not that this is a demo restriction. In fact, the bombs, which are cool and they glow blue, or you can make them into a cube. Cube bombs exist in this game, and they don't roll, so you can use that to your advantage in a number of situations. Good hit, Link. That kind of thing is interesting, but they're on a recharge in the demo, and it seems like the bombs can be used like for forever. There's no bomb counter. There's no number of bombs. So again, how much of this is demo, how much of this is final, that's tough to say, but I'm really excited for the prospect of what we've seen. Like just this right here, you can see the strength of the weapons. I like that you can cut down trees with the sword if you just hack at it long enough. That's really good for me. I like the idea that I can break every tree in Hyrule. I could use an axe, a sword, or whatever. Maybe fire. Specifically fire. The thing about this here that I like too is Link kind of using a little bit of stealth and hiding amongst the grass. Perfect. Okay, when you have a game like this, where you're open world, and it was just a very limited combat style, where you just get in there, initiate combat, and that's it. That would be not as cool as sneaking around, tagging enemies, skulking. I use the word skulking because that's a good word that doesn't get used enough. Tolkien used skulking when describing what's his name? Gollum. when Smeagol / Gollum was described in Lord of the Rings, Tolkien used the word skulking, and I was like, yeah, that's a good one. But in this game, you get to skulk around as Link without a shirt on, and you can even attack bees. All right, fine, I talked about them again. And the bees can attack the enemies for you. This is a cool mechanic too. This like counterattack mechanic where if an enemy does like launches an attack, you can actually freeze the scene and then just like beat them. Really cool. So I guess really what it comes down to is managing your weapons properly, finding out what combat style and approach you want to use per situation, and then collecting whatever it is they leave behind. I'm assuming a lot of these camps are just chump loot, but there's a few camps that are particularly interesting that we've seen in the demo, including one with a fire rod, which I don't think is in this video. I wouldn't imagine it would be, but a few people found the fire rod, and it uses physics. I talked about this last night. It uses actual like real-time, like, okay, it shoots a beach ball of fire that will just go wherever it damn well pleases. It'll bounce around. If you're lucky, it'll work. And you'll get a good, hit out of it. It's great to see pitchforks and spears and hammers and or maybe hammers, but axes. It's great to see clubs and all of these different types of weapons. This is the depth that I wanted from Zelda for a while. And here's the thing too, like, it's not going too deep. It really doesn't feel like a Skyrim or a game where you have to manage your inventory forever. It's just, well, here's a simple system, just a few simple numbers. You can see how powerful the thing is. Use it, but it might break. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Inventory, you can see there's a number of categories. So again, this is definitely a game that will have a lot of different things for you to find, a lot of different clothes that it looks like you can wear, and they're discarding the old stuff. So, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time in an inventory because for me, Fallout and Skyrim is just too goddamn much. But I also do like spending some time. And I feel like a game that struck a good balance for me was Resident Evil 4. Granted, you had to do a little like magical, like sorting to get all your shit together in the box. But I feel like a game like that had a good amount of inventory time versus gameplay, because I do like having a lot of different items to collect. So, good interface. The hang glider looks good. The map we've discussed. The map is tremendous, and this gameplay demo that they showed at E3 was apparently only a very small portion of the game. Some have said 1%. I would guess that this plateau comprises 10% of the game world. But, minus shrines and story, then you have way less. So, I'm gonna just watch this dude get hit with an arrow. Very good. The hitboxes in this game are great. Okay, so here's a skull, and it was in a skull similar to this that the fire rod was in. Also, you'll notice that there's special attacks that use stamina. So again, a very simple combat system, but still deeper than anything we've seen in Zelda, with a really, really nice level of polish. This game's been in development for years. Soldier's broadsword. Did you see the attack on that thing? Dude, that thing that's a fucking massive upgrade from 2 to 14, was it? Crazy. So unfortunately Chico's not opening that chest, but I think she knows something we don't. So there's probably a very high probability that it's just garbage or something simple. This game has this amazing kind of art style but also I noticed that the sound was a little sparse. It sounded good. There's one sound effect when you use ice arrows. I don't think I could find it right now, but the ice arrows sound like when you open a door in the original Doom. So just keep your eyes or ears peeled for that one. That one will be fun to notice. Also, there's a theory that the reason Link's tunic is blue in this game is because of the green environment. Like, everything is so incredibly green that the blue makes him stand out a little bit more. And if that's the case, it makes total sense from a design standpoint. But I like the blue tunic even more just because it's different. It signifies change for the series. It signifies, okay, we're not sticking to the conventions like we used to. There's a familiarity to this game, but not to the point of Shackles. Whereas I felt Skyward Sword, as good of a game as that was very, very tied to the formula. Which is weird because I remember before that came out, they were like, we're changing things around completely. And then Skyward came out and it was very, very, very formulaic. Link also does not have his hat, so that's a shame. Let's see. Let's see if we can get some of the sound here.
I was going to take that one.
Thanks, Chico.
Slice him. Not anymore. Okay.
You got a little battle music when you get close.
Let's go to the next battle. Is there any other weapon I haven't used yet?
You're pretty loaded up.
Yeah, you've got quite a few weapons.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Some familiar sound effects. Definitely cool how you can go around and harvest materials. There's going to be some crafting. There's going to be some, rupees are confirmed. Apparently there are rupees in this game. We have not seen them in the demo, but there is a form of currency. There will be towns and NPCs. It's confirmed. This whole area is kind of empty, just to be like a sandbox for E3. But there have been towns and NPCs confirmed, so that's exciting. I really want to see how many towns. I want to see how deep the story's gonna get. I'm really curious about, like, if there's a quest system.
That's not what I was trying to do.
It's gonna be cool though.
Oh wait, where are you going?
Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah, Chico, she did a little damage to him. So there's some pretty cool style moves that you can do, like the slowdown. I like that. I'm a fan. Let me skip ahead a little bit and see what else is going on here. Mushrooms give you temporary hearts. I wonder if someone on the team was a Binding of Isaac fan. The game has this feel to it that you're really in the wild, that you're amidst nature. The wind is a factor. You can, like, kind of detect the wind from the visuals. The fire is affected by the wind. The trees get chopped down when you hit them, and they have their own physics. There's animals, there's enemies that have their own little kind of paths. The grass moves out of the way when you move on it. The fire can spread from grass to trees. I mean, the hitboxes are really precise. The thing about this game that I feel is going to definitely be great, and something I'm looking forward to, is just exploring the world and having it feel alive. One of the reasons Watch Dogs, and different genre, yes, but I think the point still remains. One of the reasons Watch Dogs didn't work for me is it felt too mechanical. It felt like it was just like, here are the things that you do. Here's what you can do. So do them. And there was a number of things that you can do in GTA 5, for example, that Watch Dogs just didn't have. It didn't have that level of physics, of interaction, of like the interesting stuff from GTA was always the stuff that you could fuck around with and maybe even break. And Watch Dogs just felt like very restricted. It's like, here's what we want you to do. Go through these action set pieces the way we want you to, because we've made some demos for E3 and we want them to look cool. And that's what we're gonna do. So Chico is being a fucking badass right about now, and she is attacking this giant rock creature, which is leads me to another important point about this game that has me fucking really excited. This is a totally optional thing to do at this point. This giant rock monster will break your shit, has a fucking massive amount of HP, and I don't really even think there's a reason for Chico to be doing this other than to just maybe just do it for fun. And apparently you can do a lot of stuff in the order you want to do them in. So for example, Anuma has confirmed that you could literally just start the game and go to the final boss extremely quickly. I mean, you'll probably get your shit kicked in, but the fact that you can actually start the game and do that, I think that's great. That's perfect direction. Okay, get some valuable minerals from defeating the rock monster. That's why Chico is the best and should always come back for Treehouse, because she just fucking wrecked a giant rock creature. She's proud. She know what she did. Okay, so let's take a look at...
we want to show you...
We're gonna look a little bit more at some of this. I don't know what the hell's going on here. I haven't seen this.
So again, this is some of the footage that Mr. Ainuma shared with us yesterday to show some of the other things that you can do, because we've spent so much time on the plateau here.
This
at
is not
E3,
the plateau.
And so this is sort of
Holy
to
shit.
show a couple more areas.
I love what they just showed, where the paraglider was open and then
Oh, and you grab it real
closed
quick, yeah.
and then dropped for a ways. Grab it again.
Wow.
Sorry, I started the
Is it too big?
two already.
Is there too much world?
The paraglider thing one more time.
You started
It's possible.
exactly when you meant to.
Yeah, I guess so.
If it's not filled with interesting stuff,
You know, we've sort of
the world being this massive could be a detriment.
Pretend.
There's always a possibility of that. Link's outfit looks a little different here. I haven't seen this footage either, so this is the
Yes, definitely.
this is Snow Peak, aka
Music in the snow area too.
Skyrim.
Eerie quality.
Yeah, I know.
Just came back from the Snowbeards.
Yeah. There. Oh my gosh.
Hey, I have a quick thing I want to show you in relation to this Link snowboarding thing.
Yeah, right. This is honestly, I can't speak for everyone here, but this is totally my new favorite Zelda. I love it. It has everything I've ever wanted in a Zelda, all at once.
So
So now we're back to the shrine area, and so Chico is gonna take us through.
yeah, so Chico's gonna take us through. Okay, now while Chico takes us through, let's talk a little bit about dungeons and various Zelda things. So these shrines, which are there claimed to be over 100 shrines, these shrines are found throughout the world, and in some of the shrines you get a power like Magnesis, which allows you to control things like Magneto. Really, really cool. The fact that there's a lot of abilities that will help you solve puzzles and keep the gameplay fresh is really exciting to me. And the fact that these shrines exist are really good. Little self-contained little like dungeons that give you good loot, good items. Who knows? I mean, it's just there's so much to think about. And here's one of the powers that freezes enemies and objects, and that is cool as fuck. And Magnesis you can use to pick up the metal stuff. So again, this kind of thing is just perfect. The fact that you can break up the exploration with some puzzles, get a new ability, get a new item. You know, puzzles are, make no mistake, a big part of the Zelda legacy and why I love this series so much and why so many people love this series so much. Puzzles are great, but when it's just puzzle from puzzle to puzzle to puzzle, and then here's a room where you kill things, you know, it's not as cool as, I think, having a few puzzles like here and there, and then scattering them throughout the world and keeping them fresh when you get to them with new abilities. I'm not saying that the old Zelda formula is not effective, because I still love those old Zelda games very much. But this has me so excited for the future of the franchise, and I'm really happy that there's this much stuff to do. So that's cool. I'm definitely cool with that. Atmosphere is, by the way, really great. Look at the lighting too. It looks awesome. Again, hard to believe it's a Wii U game. I know the Wii U is definitely underrated in terms of power, and Nintendo utilizing it here in its fullest extent. It's a really just a nice thing to look at, especially with such a strong art style and sense of identity. Now, the dungeons in this game, we don't know anything about dungeons. There will be dungeons, and I wouldn't mind seeing shorter dungeons. Like, okay, Zelda 1 is a big template for this game. That's pretty obvious. People have been saying that. Zelda 1 is still a fucking timeless classic that I love, and I think people will, throughout the years, still remember Zelda 1 as being a revolutionary game. It's been 30 years, it still is. But the thing that made Zelda 1 revolutionary kind of also started happening less and less with future Zelda games, which was that sense of this giant world and the exploration and discovering new things, burning down a tree and finding items. Granted, now it's antiquated, but when I was a kid, it felt like there was just always new things to find. So when I think of what this game could do, I almost would want more dungeons, but dungeons that aren't like 2 hours long. How about a dungeon that's a half hour long? You know, how about a more combat-oriented dungeon? How about more puzzle-oriented dungeon? How about, you know, item-oriented dungeons? Like, I wouldn't mind if this game had, for me, it would be cool if this game had like 16 dungeons or 20 dungeons, and each one was longer than a shrine by about 20 minutes, and, you know, you basically could like power up your character that way. And then maybe there could be like 3 massive dungeons. So, I mean, personally, that's what I would do. But, I mean, Nintendo has already taken my ideas for this game. I guess they've been watching my stream. I don't know. So, I mean, maybe they won't take this one. I've done this in a secret location so people won't find it. Nintendo, you can't take my ideas anymore. Stop making awesome games with my ideas. I'm obviously joking, but the fact of the matter is, one of the reasons I'm so fucking excited for this game is because on a number of streams, I have shared my thoughts about like what I would want from a Zelda game. And a lot of those ideas were like open world. I want more freedom, more exploration. I want lots of different types of weapons, things to collect, different armor. You know, basically what we got was what I wanted. And so therefore I am incredibly happy. So let's see. So I'm going to skip ahead, and you know, here they are solving some more puzzles, and this is kind of what I would expect dungeons to be like. You know, these massive kind of trial rooms. And this reminds me a lot of other Zelda games right here, just in a different way. You know, using the what is it, the Sheikah Stone thing that Link uses to do the powers to solve these puzzles is just, it's reminiscent, but with its own twist. I actually get Link to the Past first dungeon. It's like a slight flashback to that, with the room with the giant like steel balls. Balls of steel, if you will. These enemies look cool. You know, these I don't like spiders, but these are not necessarily spiders. They're rock tentacle future. Beastie says, I wonder if Vinny has notes. Nah, I'm too lazy for notes. I just, all off the top of my head. Just really stream of consciousness, whatever comes to mind. I really, when I'm excited about something, when I'm interested in a topic, I could talk about it for hours. But the thing, like, I love the design of the enemies, even though there's only a few. The negatives of this demo should probably be addressed, which some of the negatives include, like, you know, not enough enemy variety, no towns. All right, so we know there's gonna be towns. I can guarantee you there's gonna be way more enemy variety as you go on. And then the other negatives really are kind of minor. But it's mainly kind of the idea that we have a giant open field of grass. And, you know, you go through the grass and what do you see? Maybe you'll see a little encampment. Maybe you won't see anything. It's, you know, it's worrying because this world is so huge. I'm going to grab you a map. Let's see. I guess, actually, Zelda Wii U map. Maybe I'm not in the right spot. Zelda Breath. Let's try that. Map size. So I did this the other day, and we kind of... This is the one I found the other day, so this will work. But you can see how... That's the plateau, which looks absolutely massive. What the fuck is eggplante? Anyway, I'm like moving this out of the way so I can see the footage. I was like, what is Link doing now? Yeah, let me get this out of the way. But you can see how big that world is. So it could be a legit concern that maybe there's too much. And that's something that I think the reason this game has been delayed is to fill this world with more things, to put it bluntly. Also, look at this. You use the Wii U gamepad, the gyroscopic controls to hit this ball. Eventually. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a problem. It could be an issue. I think it could be something that Nintendo is aware of and is actively adding more and more content to the game. Remember, the game is 9 months off, and there's still a lot more stuff that we don't know about this. We only know a little bit, and we've seen what looked to be so much, but in reality, it's only 1%. We've been told it's only 1%. The release date, let's talk about the release date. So I think there's room for a lot of polish. I think we have definitely potential to get a much more polished game. Even the UI could be polished by then. 9 months is a long time. In fact, some Call of Duty games are developed in 9 months in their entirety. Okay, that's not true. Usually, I think a 9-month development cycle is just never really enough. Indie games, maybe you get 9 months for some of them, but AAA, I think the least you'll get is like a year and 3 months, year and a half. Well, what about Assassin's Creed? How many teams they got working on that shit? How do they pump one of those out every year? I have to think about that. But let's talk about release and the Wii U version as opposed to the NX version. So the NX, we know nothing about the NX. We know as much as the wind, which is to say, not a lot. I don't know what that analogy was, but I'm going to stick with it. I think the NX version has been confirmed to be the same experience as this. I wouldn't necessarily put it past Nintendo to use the extra power of the NX to increase or improve frame rates, or maybe to, let's say, you know, some of the pop-in is a problem. So you'll like be exploring the giant overworld and you'll see a boulder just appear like 30 feet in front of you. The game is, well, it looks like it's well optimized, but it also suffers from pop-in, which is the power of the Wii U not being quite good enough to handle this game's massive world. So, you know, pop-in, fade-in, whatever you want to call it, it's annoying. I don't like it, and it's probably just going to have to be a fact of life. The NX could definitely optimize some of this even further. And I would really, really love if that's the direction they were going with that. The NX version, as we know, is coming out the same time as this one, the Wii U version. And that's going to be in, I think, March of 2017. So my speculation extends to, well, okay, same experience, so that we're not going to get additional content. But does that necessarily mean that NX won't be used to make the game run better. Maybe at a higher resolution, maybe with some better frame rates at times. I don't know if this game dips in frame rates, but if it did, that's something the NX could fix. So, who knows? And also, again, 9 months, maybe 6 of those months will be like really, active development. And then the last 3 could probably be marketing, polishing, and then production. So even if this game gets another 6 months, that's still a lot of development time. And for a game that's been in development for 3 and something years already, pretty fucking intense. This game has potential to be a real special game. I've definitely have regarded this game in my mind already as a turning point for this series, and I'm really, really excited. I can't wait. The physics look cool. The particle effects are so good. The fire looks great. The explosions, the fire rod, when you get to see that looks so cool. The weapons look good. Climbing, we didn't talk about that, or weather. Again, 2 on the Vine, we go into a little bit more depth about the weather system and, some of the other stuff. So if you want more, look up 2 on the Vine. It's our podcast, me and KY. But for now, I can just say that I am super intrigued by this game, and it's been a real pleasure to watch this for the past few days. So, and the Treehouse folks did a really good job presenting it. Now, before I go, does anyone have any questions? My headphones are crapping out, so if you hear little like fiddling noises, it's that I have to get a better twist tie. Oh man. So yeah, and the amiibo support, like Wolf Link looked pretty interesting too. I didn't talk too much about that, but Wolf Link is your companion when you scan the Wolf Link amiibo, and the Wolf Link will go and attack folks for you. Why am I saying folks so much? The first question I get is, what are you wearing? I'm wearing a negligee. What the fuck even is, hang on a second. Negligee. A woman's light dressing gown, typically made of flimsy, soft fabric. So as I said, I'm wearing a negligee. Have I ever considered playing Dragon's Dogma? Yes, I've considered it. I don't think I'm too interested. I haven't been in the past. I've heard really negative things about it when it was on consoles, and much better when it was on PC. But I've made the comparison with KY about it. Dragon's Dogma is a similar open world game, and one of the questions that me and KY addressed last night during 2 on the Vine was, what makes this game so special? Why are people giving a shit about this game when, there's been so many games that have done similar things? Why is Zelda so popular right now when we've seen this type of game in a number of other franchises? And I think the answer is it's a breath of fresh air for Nintendo. The fact that it's a change for Zelda. People still love this franchise. It also looks beautiful, but it's that level of Nintendo polish and the art style that separates it from a game like Dragon's Dogma, which may be in fact very cool, but it's just, there's a few other games at E3 like Horizon Zero Dawn that looked similar to this, like open world, lots of things to do, like, you could corral mechanical animals, and it seemed like there was a similar amount of world. So, but that game isn't getting as much attention as Zelda. So there's a lot of reasons, which include the fact that it's Zelda, and the fact that it's it looks so nice. Let's see. I've never been into Zelda. Where should I start? Start with either Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time on the 3DS. The 3DS version cleans up a lot of things. Those two are great. I think they will be a good start. But Link to the Past is just a great experience. But if you're looking for a more 3D experience, then, I mean, yeah, Ocarina is a pretty good entry into the series. And you know what? Even Wind Waker is pretty good entry level, too. they change up the gameplay this much, how much do you think the story will deviate from the usual landmarks of the series? Probably a little bit here and there. I would imagine the story is going to go into like the lore of the land, and I would hope Nintendo changes it up a bit. Like I said, we may be getting voice acting for the characters that aren't Link, and that's exciting. I would like to see a story about other things that aren't just the Triforce, you know, and Ganon and the three-way tie of Zelda, Link, and Ganon. I would very much like to see story about other things, maybe how this ties into Wind Waker, if it does, and just why things are fucked up. So, I mean, with gameplay changes this dramatic, I can't see them not implementing more story changes and more interesting story elements. I think we're going to get more story in this game than usual. How do you think heart pieces are going to be spaced out? I think the maximum hearts will probably end up being increased from usual. Maybe 30 instead of 20. And if so, heart pieces could still be attained in shrines or in, you know, dungeons or just throughout the world. So I think heart pieces will function similarly to how we've seen them. And I don't see why they wouldn't, because that's something that functions well and can work in... It's worked in other games where you increase your health with one thing or another that are like this. So heart pieces will work well, I think, in this game. And it'll be a good reward for shrines or challenges or hard enemy encampments. I think the game... Excuse me, how does this game look for speedrunning? The fact that you can finish the game pretty early, like right after you start, you can go to the boss, that's going to make for a good speedrun. I'm worried that speedrun will only be like 30 minutes, but that's still a perfect speedrun for AGDQ. Most of the best speedruns, in my opinion, are the ones that are like really quick. You know, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Then they eventually get them down to like 19, 18, 16. I think this game has huge speedrun potential. And different types of speedrun potential, too. Are you afraid the game will feel empty due to the scope? I talked about that, and it's possible. Yeah, that's something I'm worried about. But we'll have to find out. I also mentioned, too, there's some interesting things in the distance. At one point during footage, for some people's footage, you can see like a UFO in the distance, and a ruined castle, or a castle covered in darkness, which seem to be story elements. I think that UFO is actually a floating island. So I'm assuming, going to make an assumption that there's going to be floating islands in this game. So that's cool. Would you mind if they made another Zelda game using this engine shortly after, like Ocarina to Majora's Mask? If this game is good, and it does really, really well, I think a game with an upgraded but similar engine, exclusively for the NX, with its own story, could be great. I mean, Elder Scrolls, look at the formula for Elder Scrolls. You know, they wait like 5 years between games, and the games are pretty massive, and they are similar. World is giant, the world is new each time, quests are new, towns are new, dungeons, etc. Sure, I mean, the formula, if it's this good, could work. And then in 10 years, we'll complain about this formula, and we'll have to get something else. But yeah, sure, I mean, just not too soon. You know, I think 2 years is a minimum, you know, between waiting for games. I need at least 2 years. To think of the antagonist of this game, do you think it will be Ganon or a new character? Which one do you hope for? I would like Ganon to show up. I wouldn't mind if Ganon became like an anti-hero. I mentioned in the past I would like to see a game where Ganon becomes more sympathetic, and he's not just evil pig man, wizard foot. I want to see a Ganon that makes sense, that has his own motivations, and maybe there's a greater force that Link and Ganon have to team up for. You know, because Ganon may be an asshole, but he's our asshole, you know? Do I think Bigfoot will be in this game? Yes. and UFOs. How about you guys? Did you guys enjoy the demo? If you could tell me, there's about, for anyone who's listening, not live, it's about 60 something people here. I have a question for you guys. On a scale from 1 to 10, and please don't spam numbers, because, you know, I just want to get like a kind of a gauge. Scale from 1 to 10, how great does this game look to you? 10 being the best, 0 being poop. Does this game look good? Decent? Great? So scale from 1 to 10, put your numbers, your score, and how excited you are and how good the game looks. I guess that those could be separate. So just how good does it look to you? Not, you know. I see 3 9s, so I give it a solid 9 too. Yeah, it's all 9.5. I see. Nadaksu says 10 out of 10. Most people are saying 9. I totally agree with that. A few 10s. 1 7. 8.8. Get out. Another 8. 8.5. So there's a few 8s, but mostly 9s and a few 10s and some other things as well. So yeah, no, here was good. So thank you. I was just curious. It looks like people are excited. This game has apparently, I think I read something about its trending is like double any of the other E3 games. I think Battlefield 1 was a game that trended on Twitter. Not that means really a whole lot, but the games that trended most on Twitter were like Battlefield and this, and I forget what else actually. So, and also I don't want a demo of this game. I'll tell you why I don't want a demo. I wouldn't mind playing a demo. I know Nintendo World is hosting a demo that you have to get tickets to, and it's hard to get into. You have to wake up at like fucking 5 a.m. for that shit. But I wouldn't want a demo because I would play it too much and then it would lose some of its magic by the time the game came out. So I hope there's no demo. Or if there is, maybe it could just be a very small like trial room, which wouldn't make sense because then that would not be indicative of the final product. So I really feel like Nintendo is probably not going to do a demo for this. I could be wrong, but I'd prefer if they didn't, and then the game just came out and it was just amazing. This is a world that I would like to get lost in, and the fact that it kind of reminds me of the Skyrim feel, where you go in a direction and you find an enemy encampment and you just get distracted by that and you kill things and you grab a little piece of gear or loot. The fact that it's that with less item and inventory management, the fact that there's so many ways to handle fights and different battles, the fact that there's puzzles all over the place and hidden things all over the place. You know, choose a direction. Within a minute, you'll find something interesting to fight or to solve or whatever. That, to me, is just, it's exciting. And when I think of Elder Scrolls, I love that series, but I also dread my inventory because I'm a bit of a hoarder and I never know what the best thing is to have. And like, oh, I might need that someday. Well, in this game, it makes it simpler for you, but still has enough depth and I guess character development to keep you invested. So that is something that I'm looking forward to very much, and I think Breath of the Wild is a winner. I love everything about it, from the title to the font, no, to the logo. The logo with the white, the all white, is just great, and it really sets the tone. It's just a blank slate in some ways. That's the way I interpret it. And I think that this is going to be a big thing for Nintendo, and they needed it, because not to get too doom and gloom about Nintendo, lately I feel like they've been dropping off a little bit. So, you know, certain things haven't been as great. Some of their business decisions have been semi-questionable. They go after certain YouTubers for little things. And then, you know, they didn't show anything else other than Zelda. And even when Zelda was happening, like more, you know, like Skyward Sword didn't really drum up the same level of hype and interest. I know a lot of people never even completed Skyward Sword. And And Link Between Worlds was just great. I love that game. But, you know, Triforce Heroes I had no interest in. So for me, in the same way I feel like Twilight Princess, and I know this was true, Twilight Princess was a huge game for Nintendo. They've claimed that they banked on that game. And if that didn't work for them, and Twilight Princess didn't like sell and do really well, there's a high probability that the Zelda franchise would have changed or have diminished as we know it. And that's something that is a little scary, but Twilight did really great. Twilight, the movies did great, and that's unfortunate. But, you know, Twilight Princess did equally great in its own way and was a really great game, and it saved Zelda and also maybe helped Nintendo sell the Wii, which then became a huge hit, as we know, and also saved Nintendo because the Wii had its, you know, Wii Sports, and then there was Zelda for everyone else. And it really, really worked for Nintendo. The Wii U has been tough for this company, and they've made some weird marketing decisions. They've made some great fucking games for the Wii U that I will cherish and love forever, but they also did things that were tough for them. And even if they did everything right, you know, it's still hard to convince people to buy a Wii U. So I understand the decision to delay this game. I understand the decision to release it on NX. And I feel like this is going to be another game that we'll find out years from now was a big hurrah for Zelda, where this is this generation of Twilight Princess, this generation's Twilight Princess. So I think this is going to be a huge hit. The social media, you know, presence and the people talking about it as much as they are already is going to be huge. And I hope we get more information about the NX version, which may be, you know, a good opportunity for Nintendo to say, hey, check out our new system. We will welcome any and all of our fans back. And by the way, new fans, we have this great system with this great game called Zelda Breath of the Wild that we want you to check out. You'll love it. This is a big move. This is a big deal. And this could really get Nintendo back on track. And I hope it does, because as much as they've fucked with me and they've removed videos and they've, you know, done some things that were not cool to other YouTubers and stuff. I mean, that's just personal, selfish reasons aside. They wanted to remove all my corruptions at one point because, yes, I was in touch with someone from Nintendo. I have to end this on a bittersweet note. And that was a long thing that took a while. And I don't think it ever really fully got dissolved. And I never, or resolved, rather. And I don't really fully understand why that happened, and why they picked on me specifically and not other people. And then the other people they did pick on, you know, they nuked a few channels. It was just really sad. And it made me sad because I love this company, because they made games that defined my childhood. They made games that entertained me when I went through really difficult times. The Zelda series has always been there for me. It's always been entertaining. It's always made me feel like I was a part of this world. And Zelda is in my DNA since I was 2 years old. And that's why I love this series so much and root for it. And I'm so happy with Breath of the Wild. It's more than just about playing the game. And now it's also about, let's get this thing going again. And, you know, for the reasons that I mentioned earlier that I won't go into too much details about, Nintendo has made some really weird decisions, and that's why I love them, but I hate them, and this love-hate thing that I've always had with them. Like, why not do this? Why didn't you use CDs for N64? You know, with GameCube, why didn't you do this with DVDs? Or why didn't you, you know, do online better? Nintendo, why don't you have good online modes? New Mario Party gets announced. Why is there no online mode? Nintendo baffles me. But when they really succeed at something and they make a game that is just the right game, it's just something that I think, you know, many of us that are here right now can relate to, and we love that. So let's hope this is one of those games. And if it is, I don't give a shit what Nintendo has done. I'm just happy to play it. So thank you for watching this. Thank you everyone who would join me today and for the questions. It was great to have you here. Everyone, let's hope this game is great, and hopefully I'll be able to stream it. So if you're watching this on Full Sauce, like February 2017, I'll see you in a month with Zelda Breath of the Wild. You know, it'll be good. So later, guys. I don't have Zelda music queued up, so I'm just gonna play an ocarina for a minute. Oh god, where's my ocarina? Here it is. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Gotta play us out. I don't know how to play an ocarina. So let me add some echo so it sounds even better.